It's funny, before you came on, Michael was just sitting over there humming. I was like, "Are you humming Legally Blonde?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Is that in honor of Kenzie?" He said, "No." Why? Why would that be in honor of her? I was like, "Because it's her favorite musical."
I was like, I don't know her like that.
It is. With my pink microphone.
Yeah.
All
right.
A girl of Delta Nu.
I am. Delta Nu.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of From Art to Atoms,
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
I'm Brandon Shoemaker.
I'm Michael Foles.
And despite Michael's giggles that he always has when I try to start the show, we have to get down to business because it's a very special episode for us, isn't it?
Yes, it's our first guest starring.
Yeah.
Including a guest star.
Yes, it's our first guest star on the podcast. So this week's topic is going to be on something that we've kind of talked adjacent to quite frequently on here, and that's generations. You know, our first episode was on the Xennial micro generation that Michael and I are both a part of. And so today we wanted to talk about generational differences. And we figured what better way to do that than to talk to somebody who is of a different generation than us. So today via Google Meet, we have my friend and colleague, Mikenzie Burns. Say hi, Mikenzie.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being our first guest.
I'm so excited to be y'all's first guest. Big fan. Big fan.
Well, we're so grateful to have you. So Michael and I are both, we've talked on the show before. We're both in our 40s. We're 40 something, if you will. And you are 20 something.
23.
23.
Younger 20 something.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted us to reveal your actual age on air or not. So I was giving you that option. Yeah, so you're 23. I'm 43. So I'm exactly 20 years older than you. And then Michael's the old man at 44 at the table.
Yay. It just means I have more experience.
Sure, we'll go with that. And full disclosure, even though we always say this is not an education podcast, Kenzie is another teacher. She is my assistant director of theater at school. And so she and I both have the perspective of seeing the kids in the classroom and our own perspective of things as on the adult side of it. And technically, Kenzie is of the same generation as the high school students that we currently teach. They're both in Gen Z, as it is known.
Yep. Hey, so, you're talking about how you don't want her to reveal her age, or you didn't know if you wanted her to reveal her age. Like, she's 23. Like, that's when you're supposed to, want to reveal it. Like, if she was, 52 or 44, that's when you're so no, I don't want you to reveal my age.
Well, exactly. Are you upset because I didn't give you that courtesy as well?
No, we've already talked about how old we are.
I was going to say, you've said it numerous times on the show.
Nothing at all. It reminds me of a joke that Joan Rivers told.
Kenzie, do you even know who Joan Rivers is?
I know of the name.
Oh, yeah. So she's a comedian, long 1980s comedian.
70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
She died, 10 years ago?
She used to have a show on E! Television with her daughter where they would
Melissa and Joan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she had tons of plastic surgery, and she was not secretive about this either. Obviously, she couldn't be. She looked like the Catwoman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she told a joke, and this is early on, 1980s when she was doing stand up, and she went on Johnny Carson's show or something like that, or they had done something. And about age, I'm trying to think of how the joke went. She said something to the effect of, someone said, "Oh, you look 20 years young," or "You're 43 years young," or something like that,
Yeah.
Do you know what joke I'm telling you?
No.
Okay. And she said, "I don't even know what the hell that is. I mean, what is that?" I look at someone and go, "Oh, okay. So what is that like? You're 260 pounds thin." It's the same thing, why would you call an old person young? But then, so yeah, she was like, "I don't even know what that means."
But that's the perfect example of, differences in generations because, when you are of a younger generation, like you said, that's not as big a priority as once you're in the older Gen set.
But is that even though dealing with that, is that even a generational thing? Because like, is that from our generation where the age mattered? Do women of younger generations even really care?
Well,
the revealing of the age?
I was going to say, I feel like it's not even so much our generation. I think it's before us that it was a bigger deal. You know, the baby boomers and beyond. I think they were the ones that were more like, oh, a lady should never reveal her age.
Well, ladies shouldn't do a lot of things, but they do.
Good point.
Facts.
But yeah, so we've got representations of you know, two pretty, you know, substantial
far off generations.
Yeah,
20-year difference.
Because we've got millennials between us as well. So
and this Gen Zer here, how does it feel to work with this old person? I'm just curious, like, how does it feel to work with such an old, like someone old enough to be your grandfather?
I'm not old
He is
enough
not
to be your
old enough to be my
grandfather.
grandfather. He's old enough to be my father.
Okay, so how does it feel to work with your dad? Although he's like your bigger brother, I guess, an older brother.
I think that's kind of our dynamic, honestly. The students always say that we're like siblings. I feel like we definitely act like siblings. It's honestly just a huge blessing and encouragement to me as a young teacher because he's like such an incredible mentor. Because a lot of teachers my age, there's honestly been kind of a problem with the mentors are kind of not really helpful. And the younger generation is almost intimidating to the mentors. I've just heard from some of my friends who have like quit teaching. So it's really cool that I have him and I have our other colleague, which is an incredible mentor as well. So I'm just incredibly blessed, honestly. Like it doesn't bother me. And I don't really notice the age gap until he says like jokes from movies that I've never seen in my life.
That's not age. That's just cultured.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's not really age because half the jokes he tells me I don't get either. So.
He said something today. He was talking about like a framed narrative or something. And he was giving all of these examples to the students. And they were like, what? Like, and I was like, guys, Tangled. And he was like, Saving Private Ryan. I was like, they don't know what that is.
I was very sad.
Now you see what Thomas goes through all the time when he talks about books and movies and no one knows what the hell he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, because that is something that I notice frequently. And I used to pride myself on really kind of being tuned in to the zeitgeist of my students when I was a younger teacher. Mm-hmm. And now I do. I make references all the time and I get these blank stares and I'm like,
okay, so let me ask you then. Are you in the know with the current language and stuff like that?
No. I mean, my kids make me be in the know.
Like
you say that's right, Kenzie? They kind of force us into it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more in the know just because...
Yeah.
I don't know, because some of my friends still are kind of in like a high school phase, I guess. Like they also talk like that and I also talk like that. But there's some lingo that comes out that both of us are just totally confused.
Like I hear, okay, so like we looked up this the other day, a couple of days ago, like what are some of the common phrases? Because I was doing a rubric and I wanted to make sure the rubric was good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I started using some of these phrases like riz
Mm-hmm.
and like not sus. It was another one that was kind of bad, but like so the kids are saying like, oh, I'm crashing out. I'm like, what do you mean you're crashing out? Like, what does that mean? Like, I just can't take it. I'm having a breakdown. I can't do it. So I'm like, dude, you don't even know what that even means.
Yeah.
But that's another one. Like skibbity riz.
Oh my God. Skibbity toilet. I cannot take it. What is skibbity toilet? Kenzie, do you know that one? I don't understand it at all.
It's like a TikTok. It's like a meme. I also don't really understand it, and it drives me mentally insane. So
okay, that makes me feel better then, because that one drives me nuts, and I don't understand it at all.
But their language is like when we used to say something's really rad.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember we used to say that like we would invent words to.
That was like elementary.
Okay, but still, you know,
that's rad.
What are some common words that we would say back then?
Oh gosh,
tubular.
Primo.
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know, yeah.
Totally tubular.
I think that was my older siblings.
That was California speak. That was California surfer speak. I don't think that ever
like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure kind of language.
Groovy?
Yeah. Groovy was
no, that's like my
way
mom's.
earlier.
Guys, when were y'all? Okay, so if you're
80s and 90s.
I was born in 1980.
They didn't say Totally Tubular in the 80s?
Well, that's the thing.
But we
they
didn't
did
use it. We
not
that
was
10-year-olds
regional.
Didn't use it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was a regional
really?
thing.
I would have used it every day of my life.
I think you should start. That should be your New Year's resolution.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's awesome.
So the first time Kenzie and I ever met, we hit it off right away. We were supposed to meet over lunch for like an hour or so to talk about our plans for the year. And 4 hours later, we were still sitting at McAllister's talking, and we finally said, well, we're going to have like, a whole year to talk. We can probably go. But I stopped counting the number of times that she used the word slay as an exclamation. That was her like final little youth thing to wash off. And you don't say it nearly as much anymore as you used to. In fact, the kids say it more now than you do.
Yeah, they got it from, they didn't get it from me, but they were kind of like saying
it's popularity.
Yeah, like I brought it kind of in the theater area, and then now they expect me to say it, so it's kind of like, no, like I gotta keep you guessing.
But yeah, I kid you not. I would say anything, and her response would be like, "Okay, slay." Everything.
I think I say word a lot more now.
You say what more?
Word. Like if someone says something, I'm like, okay, word. More than I say.
And that's
slay.
old. That's old too. That was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Word to your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
What is Joji's phrases that he always says?
Oh God.
I love it.
Valid.
Valid's
one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's valid.
He has another one.
Oh my goodness, what is it?
I can't remember.
He called Shoemaker Brendonanon the other day, and I almost fell out of my chair. He said, Brendonanon, it is your birthday. It was really funny.
Oh my God.
Is that like a feminomenon?
Like a feminine nomenon. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
I have not.
Good old Chapel Roan.
Oh, okay.
Queen.
That was Harris's campaign song when she came out as a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah.
I
Yes,
missed
they're doing a feminonon or whatever it is.
a feminonon.
That song is so bad. Like it's just full of language and all kinds of stuff. It's such a vibe. Such a vibe.
A vibe. There we go. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna make me want to watch some 90210 and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What?
Thomas has been making me want to go to Buffy. He's like, can we start watching Buffy again? I'm like, no, I wanted to watch it a while back and you said you didn't want to watch it. So no, I don't want to watch it now with you.
Oh, wow.
Because he's been listening to this podcast by Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia on the show on Angel. And so now he's like, I want to watch Buffy again. And we can watch Angel at the same time. And I'm like, no, I'm punishing him. I'm going to give in. But he'll never know I'm saying this right now because he'll listen to the podcast. So.
Yeah.
I've never seen
He's getting
Buffy
better.
the Vampire Slayer.
What? It's such a good show.
There's no
my
way.
gosh.
It's literally called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
it's awesome.
shot. No.
It was based on a movie.
A hilarious movie.
Is it like
Oh
a
my God.
comedy?
No, is it what?
Like a comedy.
The movie is, but the TV show was more.
Well, it got dark after a certain time period, but it was very different for the,
Yeah. Buffy. So you have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then you had the spinoff with Angel.
Mhm.
And you know who loved watching Angel? My mom. It came out like my senior year of high school, and she just I don't know if it was because it was David Boreanaz or what, but she just fell in love with that show, and she was watching it every week with me.
You need to watch. I'm gonna tell you, Buffy's good later on. It kind of really sucked in the early seasons, but Angel was. I mean, I remember watching Angel in college. It was just completely different, especially the later seasons. Like last season, you were like, "What in the world are they doing?" It was crazy.
And didn't it end on a very much cliffhanger? But then it continued in comic books.
Yep.
Yeah. I only saw like that first season or two
of Angel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's completely different. They open up a law firm for the demons, and they have to run the law firm for the demons the last 2 seasons. That's horrible. Like it completely.
Oh my gosh.
Rewrote the show.
Okay. So one thing that Kenzie and I have noticed, especially in the classroom, is that it seems like Gen Z is kind of at this interesting breaking point, just like how Xennials was a breaking point and sort of at a wedge moment in time for Gen X and millennials. It seems like we might have a similar sort of phenomenon developing right now with the second half of Gen Z.
You mean a Brandon phenomenon?
But no. That was a weird segue.
It could be a Brandon phenomenon.
What?
Because Kenzie, you've noticed a lot of differences in the students that we teach who are also Gen Zers, and you and people of your generation, or people of your age, I'll say.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, honestly, me and a lot of my friends, we don't even want to be classified as Gen Z because sometimes it's just like, oh, these Gen Zers, and we're like, we're millennials. What are you talking about? But we are. Just because I think it's just totally different. Like, even the music taste is just totally different. Like, some of my friends will listen to what the students are, and I listen to some of what the students are because it's actually good, or it's artists that came out whenever I was in high school, so I'm still a part of it. But like, I've noticed the kids will listen, or whenever we're on the school bus, the things that they're listening to are all things that came out in either whenever I was in high school, or like it's classic rock, or like it's never actually anything from this year or in the past 4 years. And I just think that that's really interesting in the way that they do that. And even the way that they dress is very different than we choose to dress. Like, it's just really interesting how there's like a gap in the generations. And I think COVID has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that because, we've talked about, the difference for Xennials seems to be technology, and the fact that we were born before technology was such an everyday part of our lives, but then we went into school, or as we were in school, it became part of our everyday lives. And so that's sort of what sets us apart as a micro generation. And I think, if you start looking at the differences in later or early Gen Zers and later Gen Zers, I think COVID might be that sort of separation. Yeah, that point of separation for them as well. Because when you think about it, and really what we're talking about mostly, I think, is the COVID lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that sort of you're looking at a period of, around 3 months, the better part of 3 months, where kids weren't in school.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you think about the younger kids, like elementary age and stuff, that was a very
formative.
Yeah, that was a major interruption in their formative years. And so I think, that's sort of what we're seeing is this difference, and maybe that is why, they seem to like classic rock and things like that, because they were cooped up with their parents.
I
think they like classic rock because they like classic rock.
Yeah.
It's the same reason you like the Beatles. You don't like the Beatles because you were cooped up with your mom and dad.
Well, true, but like, I don't mean classic rock specifically, but I think a lot of these differences can be traced to that aspect.
I'm just saying, good music's good music.
I'm gonna say that, like, I have always really enjoyed Metallica because my dad enjoys Metallica, and I've liked Fleetwood Mac because my dad did, and so he introduced it to me. But during COVID, this is gonna sound so bad, but on Easter, Metallica did like a concert with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And since I had to be at home because it was during lockdown for Easter, we sat and we watched it together, and influenced me liking it a lot more. And also with country music, I wasn't the biggest fan of country music in high school because I thought it was really annoying. But because I was with my mom and she listens to country music and she listens to all these things, and I was also with my dad and he listened to constant classic rock, it did kind of implement my next few years of what I listened to and what I liked. So I think you have a point.
Yeah, I think so too, because think about it this way, you know, yeah, good music is just good music, but these kids don't really have exposure to it. Yeah.
That's where we come in as teachers. We make them listen to our music.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, and for us as theater teachers, we definitely see that in terms of musical theater and our taste in musical theater and that rubbing off on our kids.
I made mine listen to... So they do a class playlist, right? And I let them nominate songs for their class playlist, and I have to screen them and obviously make sure it's nothing inappropriate.
Right.
But so we had probably about 24, 25 songs on one playlist, and I kept on getting tired of listening to the same songs. So it's like, I'm going to throw some of mine on there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not really necessarily my favorite songs, but it's songs that were kind of upbeat and fun. And
yeah.
I knew they would not put them on there. So I put like Aqua's Barbie Girl on there. And the first time that came out, they were like, who put this on there? I was like, I just raised my hand. I was like, me. And then like one day we put on What Does the Fox Say? Like that's not even that old of a song. You know? But I mean, we karaoke to that one day in class. They're like, what kind of music is this? And I'm like, look, it wasn't my generation that did this one.
That song like totally shaped a year. Like even on your phone, if you ask Siri what the fox says, she'll give you like the answers to the lyrics of the song. And I think that's really funny. I love that.
But we are, as holders of past generations, responsible for passing that on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's our job to give them culture to it. And I'm proud that some of the songs on the playlist, like we did have a Pink Floyd song.
Yeah.
You know, and we did have Beatles.
That they requested?
Yes. So they put on there, and I was like, look, then one of the kids, my Pink Floyd songer, the kids were like, because it starts as a riff in the very beginning. It's just instrumental at first, you know? And the kids were like, what kind of song is this? And he looked at her with like death eyes and was like, it's Pink Floyd. Deal with it. And I was like, okay. He's passionate about his music, you know? And I was like, slay, girl, slay.
Period. But yeah, like that's another thing with specific to music, though, I think, is that it's something that can it can cross generational boundaries, and it can help to unify generations. You know, we had I had, it was one of my freshmen a couple weeks ago who said somebody mentioned the Beatles, and she was like, who's that? Who are the Beatles?
Sacrilegious.
Exactly. And so, but that's
like saying, who's Fleetwood Mac? I mean,
what?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure she probably didn't know who Fleetwood Mac was then.
How do you not know who the Beatles? She had to have been lying. Bless her heart. Like, there's no way.
Well, and that was the thing. When he started playing one of their songs, she was like, oh, that's the Beatles? I didn't know that, you know. And so, you know, that's the thing, though, is that, you know, there are songs that are part of, I don't want to say pop culture in terms of like today's pop culture, but just culture at this point, that are still around and whatnot. And so they are vaguely familiar with them, but they don't
know it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was that way with the Eagles when I was like really starting to discover the Eagles. Quick story. For the longest time, I thought I hated the Eagles. And the reason was because the only song that I thought I knew by the Eagles was Hotel California.
Oh.
Now, I love Hotel California today.
Such a horrible song.
But I hated it at the time and for a number of years because we had studied it in one of my English classes, and the teacher, like, we broke it down and just like it just came across, you know, after analyzing it, it came across as such a depressing song. And so I didn't like it for a long time. And that was the only thing that I knew consciously that was by the Eagles. And so I was like, ugh, the Eagles. Ugh, I hate the Eagles. And then it was in like my first or second year in college that I really started listening to these other songs and realizing, oh my God, that's like Desperado. I was like, wait, that's by the Eagles? And so I started discovering their music really for the first time fully and being like, oh, yeah, I love that song. I didn't know that was the Eagles because all I knew was Hotel California. And thankfully, I was able to rediscover a love for Hotel California. And now it's one of my favorite songs that they did. But that's,
I can say not mine.
Really?
Yeah. And I prefer Desperado by Linda Ronstadt over the Eagles.
Oh, I didn't know she did a cover of it.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Oh, well, it's Linda Ronstadt. Everything she does is
So
great.
did Clint Black.
Yeah, now his I knew. I knew his cover, but I didn't know Linda Ronstadt had done it too. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about one of the more negative side effects, let's say, of the differences in our generations.
Drugs.
Mm-hmm. What did you say?
He said drugs.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, we were the guinea pigs for vaping.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like that's no lie. And a lot of my students have told me that the reason that they vape is because their older sibling introduced it to them. And I totally believe that we were the guinea pigs for that. Like it was adhering to us.
And I just think it's so not funny, but because tragic really is the better word. But, you know, vaping was introduced as a healthy alternative to smoking. And, you know, very quickly we discovered just in a matter of a few years, no, it's definitely not, and can actually cause problems much quicker than traditional smoking
Okay,
can.
so here's what I tell the kids about this vaping stuff, right? If God intended you to breathe water, he would have gave you gills.
Yep.
At what point do we think it's okay to us to put water vapor in our lungs? Like, what are you, an idiot? You're just drowning yourself. Like, dum-dums.
Well, and really that's what it pretty
It's
much
doing.
is doing. It's slowly eroding the lining of the lung. So yeah, I mean, yeah, drugs is definitely, I mean, and Gen Z has become the victim of the fentanyl
Outbreak, I guess.
words. Thank you. Yeah,
You know,
outbreak.
I don't know what it would be called.
That's what, yeah, I don't really know what to call it.
The fentanyl problem. I mean,
Yeah.
Craziness.
Epidemic, kind of.
it is an epidemic. That's a
Yeah.
good word for it.
Yeah. So the fentanyl epidemic, the oxy epidemic as well.
So prescription drugs, basically.
Yeah, really. And when you think about that, that just comes from ease of access, I think, because, hey, it's in mom's medicine cabinet, you know, in not fentanyl at least, but like, you know, some of the other drugs.
Sometimes it is in mom's medicine cabinet.
But another, you know, one of the more negative aspects of the more recent Gen Zers, I'll say, that we've noticed, and we see it in the classroom all the time, and that's, I guess we could call it just levels of respect.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even, and this is one that Kenzie and I will talk about frequently because, you know, of course, you know, me being 20 years older, I'm like, back in my day, never would have thought of
The kids
I
are
sounded
like
Mitch McConnell.
Well, the kids today were like, well, if it snows, you're going to be walking 20 miles to work like my grandfather did. And I was like, yeah, because he did.
You know, in our day, in mine and Michael's day, you know, like.
Sounded so old.
I know.
Back in my day.
And you sounded Australian for some reason. But, you know, back in our day, we never, like, you gave a teacher respect because they were the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And
you respected your elders or your adults.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and the same thing went for any adult for that matter. You know, there was no sense of, because one thing that we'll get a lot of times in the classroom today is, you know, well, you've got to earn my respect.
Mm-hmm.
I earned it by being older than you.
Yeah, and they have no concept of that. And Kenzie, tell us what we were talking about today at lunch about, you know, the difference you see in that between yourself and them.
Like how it was back in my day.
Yeah.
I remember my first day as a teacher, and whenever I walked in and like, now I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, my class was kind of bad. And so in high school, we would push teachers to where we could see like, okay, are you a pushover? Like, what can I do to like get you to,
how much can I get away with?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, where's the line here? But never on the first day. Never.
Right.
And it would be kind of like whenever the teacher went and stood in front of the classroom, you just knew to shut up.
Right.
It was just kind of a common courtesy thing, especially whenever they were going over the like agenda. We had teachers who would be like, hey guys, like, let's quiet down. And then we were still loud. And then they said it again. And it was like, okay, like, here we go. But whenever I got up there, I just remember so vividly, I was like, all right, like, I'm going to go over the agenda. And they all just looked at me. And then they just like immediately got back on their phones. And I was like, okay, period. Love that. And it wasn't until honestly like a couple of weeks where I finally started like learning that they are not going to listen to me unless they feel like they have to in order to pass my class. Like that is the only way, because they don't care. Like there's a level of like, whenever I was in school, I was so afraid of failing. But in this generation, Daniel, babe, please stop. He's like saying the answers with me right now. Oh. You're going to have to cut all that out. He's like, I don't care. But Daniel agrees. And he's from the same generation. But they literally just don't care. Like, I'll be like, okay, well, if you don't listen to me, you're going to fail. And they're like, okay, I'll go take art. Like, they have no drive, no care in the world. Some of them, not all of them. But even sometimes, though, with some of our kids that we like love, they're not going to listen to us until they feel like it's actually beneficial to them. Like if they feel like their conversation is more important, then that's what they're going to do. And I think it was really interesting because I remembered that like my teacher would be like, okay, I'll wait to like get everyone quiet. So I tried that one day. I was like, all right, I'll wait, whatever. And a girl looked at me and she's like, thank you, because I'm really trying to have this important conversation.
Oh my God.
I was like dumbfounded. I was like, okay, well, like, do you want to share with the class what it's about? And she did. Like, she genuinely believed that what she was talking about was way more important than anything I had to say. And I think it was kind of in those moments I was like, this is totally different than anything that I've ever seen in a classroom before. Because even our worst student would never. They would never. Like, they would be disruptive. They would yell and stuff, but they would never just frankly, like, whenever they said, I'll wait, they wouldn't go, okay, well, like, thank you, because I need to finish my conversation. Like, never.
And now the student who said that, was she intentionally trying to be disrespectful with that?
No.
Right.
She was genuinely like thanking me. And then as soon as I looked at her, I was like, hey, I was like, girl, I was just being sarcastic. And she was like, oh, my bad. Like, because she literally thought that like we are equals.
Yeah.
Like they have it's just really interesting how they perceive things, I think. Yeah. And I think COVID just has a lot to do with that. I think COVID kind of made a lot of students really socially unaware. Like they are very socially immature in the way of like they don't remember how it used to be because they are so plugged into their phones. Plugged in. And I think another thing that's really concerning is like I have juniors in the classroom who cannot even spell the word orange. And they're in pre-AP. They have to have like ChatGPT to spell words like anxiety and orange. And I understand ChatGPT. I understand AI. Like I'm a part of all of that generation whenever it all came out. Like I get it. I think it's a great tool. But like whenever you have to ask the person next to you and you're about to go to college how to spell the word orange and that does not concern you. Because I was like, okay, like, for real, like, when are you going to learn how to spell? They were like, I don't think I really need to be honest with you, because I'm going into nursing. And I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Lord, wait till they write that prescription or something.
Like, what do you mean by that? Like, there's just this, like, the understanding of this generation right now. And I think it's because with COVID, we gave them such, like, this generation did not get to go through what my friends and me kind of went through, because like my first semester of college was totally ruined because I had to go home. And then some of my friends didn't get to walk across the stage at graduation, and they didn't get prom. And that crew was so babied whenever they got to college, because it was like, oh, you didn't get this, you didn't get this. And then it just feels like because of COVID and we lost all of this time, it's just like people have naturally just started giving everyone handouts of like, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I just think it's learned helplessness. Like, I think that that's the gap. And I think it's COVID's fault. And I think that's why they're so disrespectful. I think that's why they aren't socially aware. And instead of everyone saying, hey, like, this is a genuine problem, let's fix it, they have so much material jammed down their throats every day that doesn't even matter, that they can't function.
Yeah. I agree definitely that COVID did a lot and had a majorly negative impact on it. But I think they're like the learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
That was before COVID.
That was there before COVID, because I remember distinctly, this was a year or two before COVID hit. I remember distinctly the moment that it really clicked for me was I had asked one of my brightest students to go to the tech booth and to bring me an adapter, an aux adapter. And she was gone for a few minutes. She came back and then she said, I couldn't find it. And I said, well, I know it's in there. I just left from there. Did you check here and here and here? And did you check in the cabinets and stuff? And she said, oh, no, I didn't. She had literally just gone in and just given a general glance over of the room and didn't see it anywhere and decided that it wasn't there.
I'm giving up.
Yeah. And so it's literally like a lot of the more recent Gen Zers are incapable of problem solving.
Yeah.
You know,
we don't teach that anymore.
They can't be presented with an authentic problem. You know, think about, last year we had the issue of students, especially in theater, wanting the answers, wanting a line reading, wanting to know exactly what we were looking for and not trying to think of it for themselves or create something for themselves, because that's along the lines of problem solving and they don't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and that honestly, I think that comes down to parenting styles, because we have a lot of people today who are really more interested in being their child's friend than parenting them.
Yeah.
And I think that gets in the way a lot of times for a lot of these issues.
I think they're also jealous. And I don't know how to say this without saying it, but this generation is so grown up. Like, whenever you look at your middle schoolers, your high schoolers, they all are in very tight clothing. They're normally in the majority are all in Lululemon or nice clothes, and they have their hair perfect and they have face full of makeup on, and they want all of these things, at least the ones that I run into and I've seen on TikTok and stuff, because they are constantly comparing themselves to people online constantly.
Yeah.
Even in the more grungier girls, who are the goth girls, they're face full of makeup. They look exactly like an influencer online. And I feel like sometimes the parents are like, why didn't I look like that at that time? Why didn't I have that? And they live vicariously through their kids to where they kind of forget to parent. They forget that your kid is actually 12 and you need to teach them about these things. I kind of noticed that with Beyonce and Blue Ivy. I don't know them at all, but I noticed that Blue Ivy is 12 years old and she's dancing with her mom, which is Queen Bee, Beyonce. But all of these people were literally grilling her because she messed up in the dance, and they had no recollection that she was just 12 years old or anything. They were like, she's a grown woman now. She should be able to keep up. She should be able to do all these things. So I feel like the parents aren't teaching their kids that they're kids. They're expecting them to grow up and they want a friend to hang out with and live vicariously through, that they forget to parent.
Yeah. I and I think we're letting our kids grow up too early. And it's so odd because it's so counterproductive and counterintuitive to what we fought for so long, at the start of the 20th century, which is for kids to actually be able to have adolescence, and to be able to grow up, because, they didn't have that before you had the inception of the child labor laws.
Yeah.
Kids were expected to go to work as soon as they were physically able to, or even to, work at whatever they were physically capable of doing at as early as 5 years old in some cases. So, the U.S. enacted child labor laws so that, they could be free to grow up and experience childhood in a normal fashion. And now we're doing that of our own accord. We're aging them up of our own accord and through social media. And I think, I think that kind of hits the nail on the head when you mention social media, even more so than COVID. I think it's the prevalence of social media that has had the biggest impact on the split of Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a side note this really fast.
Yeah.
I know who Beyonce is. Who was the other person she was talking about?
Blue Ivy. I think that's her daughter.
That just shows how old I am.
Her daughter's 12. But she looks like a grown woman. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Because didn't she dance with her in like the Super Bowl a few years back or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember hearing about. I don't think I saw the performance, but I remember hearing about it, and it was a big deal and everything. But
like stuff like that, like I'm sure that Blue Ivy does want to dance with her mom. Like I do not have a doubt in my mind about that. But and she's famous, so it's like totally different. But it's the only example I could think of that's not going to offend anybody. But that just is a parent who her daughter is now her coworker.
Yeah.
Blue Ivy got totally blasted online because they expect her to not mess up. I'll send y'all a picture of what she looks like. She's 12. Just keep in mind she's 12. Okay. And you're going to be like, what?
To be fair, if they didn't want her to be treated in that way, that industry itself does that to children.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, the whole entertainment industry really does it to children.
I mean, think of like presidential children. Like, look at Barack Obama's 2 kids. They kept those girls out of the spotlight forever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for sure, because they wanted them to have as normal of a child life as they could.
Yeah. Barron Trump even was kept out of the spotlight.
Correct. But that's a choice of the parents.
Exactly.
Like, that's Blue Ivy. Is that her real name, or is that what she just goes by?
That's her real name.
Shut up.
It's Beyonce and Jay-Z.
I understand that. However, who names their kid after something that sounds like
oh my God. Flavor? This is a 12-year-old?
She's 12. But that's what I'm saying. 12-year-olds are looking at Blue Ivy like, why don't I look like that?
Because your mama's not Beyonce. That's why.
For real. I mean, yes, she's gorgeous, but she looks like she's 20.
Well, here, let me make sure.
That's a parental thing right there.
Correction. She is turning 13. So January 7th, she turned 13. So yesterday. Happy birthday, Blue Ivy.
7th. No, that's today.
Oh. Today?
Is that really her name?
Yes.
Yes, that's really her name. Just like Elon Musk's son is X something, something, something.
That's so funny.
Yeah. He has a barcode for a name.
I always thought Michael Jackson naming his kid's name Prince was kind of weird, but that one takes the cake.
Yeah, Prince is normal by comparison.
Kylie Jenner's nickname is Stormy. Her kid's name is Stormy.
That's what they do when they don't get their way. They storm off. What are we going to do? I mean, what do you expect from a kid named Blue Ivy?
Yeah.
I'm about to turn into my grandfather. I'm about to turn into an old man. We need to switch subjects here. I'm about to turn into a grumpy old man here.
All right. Well, before Kenzie spits out her dinner
I can't
laughing
get over this
so
Blue
hard.
Ivy crap, man. I just can't get over this. They named that girl after a flavor of Kool-Aid. It's like, hey, what Gatorade are you drinking while you're pregnant? Oh, I love the Blue Ivy flavor. Okay, that's going to be our girl's name. What is that?
Oy.
I think another big generation gap thing of Gen Z and that I've noticed in the students and just online in general is how desensitized they are to literally everything.
Yeah.
And how like everything is a joke.
Yeah.
Because even the horrible events that went down this past New Year's, the kids were like making jokes about them. Like they do not understand, or they do understand, they just don't care. I can't really gauge what the deal is, but like on 9/11, they'll make jokes about 9/11. 9/11 is in no way funny.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's bring one that's relevant to them. Again, this is what goes back to us, is that like when we have active shooter drills, the kids are like, oh, this is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they don't realize, like, our generation, we were the first ones to see really that kind of stuff go down with Columbine in 99.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we understand the importance of it, but the kids just think it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because, like you're saying, they're desensitized from it because, I mean, movies, songs, video games, I'm going to say media and stuff like that, but they just don't realize, like, this is, anyway. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. The desensitization is very problematic, I think, because not that any specific topic needs to be sacred in society and or anything like that, but just in terms of understanding social standards and decorum, like, you can't joke about certain things and be considered an acceptable member of society.
Yeah. Well, like, just little things, like, they are so desensitized to, and I'm not saying that, like, all students just don't care about these things. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that, like, there is an interesting difference, I guess, because I remember whenever we took the students to New York and I was just talking to them about, like, 9/11 and things, they did not realize that this actually happened to real people until we were there, and some of the, like, families were under the thing and, like, really experiencing this. And I tried to tell him, I was like, hey, like, you're going to be coming up to people who you cannot talk about it. You cannot make a joke about it because their loved one died. Like, this is real life. This is real stuff. And they were like, okay, yeah, whatever. But I remember after the day, like, the whole day was pretty much ruined, which I hated because I genuinely loved the museum. And I felt bad that it made them all kind of depressed, but I was so glad that they got to experience that, just because
it made it real for them.
See the life, like, make them actually realize, holy cow, like, this really did happen. And I was talking to a girl the other day, and, like, we were watching a movie. Have you seen Carry On?
Yep.
I haven't, but go ahead.
We were watching Carry On, and my niece, she was like, well, this doesn't actually happen. I was like, girl, it could happen like that. Like, you'd have no idea. And then we got on the topic of 9/11, why we have, like, security and things. And 9/11 is something that she has learned about for a very long time now, because she is in middle school and she thought it was a movie. She had no idea that it was even real.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like that's what we're doing. I don't know if people just aren't talking about it, if people don't want to talk about it. I know that it's, like, beaten to the core of, like, this is 9/11, this is what we do on 9/11 and things like that. But I feel like all of these subjects are not getting the appropriate attention that they need for the younger students to actually fully understand that this really did happen and it really can happen again. Because I remember telling my niece, I was like, babe, this was only like 22 years ago. She was like, what? Are we okay? Like, that's really not that far away. And I was like, yeah, like, duh. Why do you think everyone's kind of on edge constantly?
Yeah, I think that just has something to do with the way we study history.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there are, I think about it for us when we were kids, like studying the Vietnam War,
Mm-hmm.
That just ended before we were born, really. And so I think, and again, one of the things that really made that real for me in my mind was the first time I went to Washington and saw the Vietnam Wall,
Mm-hmm.
And seeing all the names there and seeing people who were, visibly moved by it. Like, I'll never forget, my dad looked up in their little directory there. This was, I'm sure they're digital or something now, but this was back when they had, like, actual huge books that listed, everybody by alphabetically and which panel they were on. And I remember my dad looking up the name of somebody that he knew that he had grown up with and finding him on the wall. And just, that was one of the few times I really saw my dad sob. And to see him do that in public, especially, was just, it made it more real for me and gave me a more concrete perspective on the war as a whole.
For some reason, and this is going to sound so crazy, but anytime I see a theatrical piece about like Vietnam or World War II or 9/11 or any of the like big wars, it instantly feels so much more real to me than ever before. I don't know if I'm just that much of a theater nerd, but like for some reason it just really hits so different. I think because it's just in your face in person and you just like connect with it more.
Yeah, I do. I think that's one of the powerful things about theater that can't always be conveyed in a movie is that, you know, you are there with the people who are portraying these actors, or excuse me, who are portraying these characters, and it does give you a more visceral response. All right, well, that we kind of veered off the topic of generational differences. Well, no, we tied it all in there, but let's go ahead and we like to close out our conversations each episode with our final thoughts on the topic. So, Michael, what are your final thoughts on generational differences?
All right, I think we're gonna see generational differences in every generation. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're talking about our generational differences between the two groups that we are a part of now. But if you think about generational differences between our grandparents, like my grandmother's generational difference between me and then, or me and hers, I didn't see stuff from her point of view either. She was born in 1912. I shouldn't say 12 because it makes it sound like 2012, but 1912.
Yeah.
You know, and she went through the Depression. She went through the 50s. They went through the Civil Rights Movement. They went through all of those things. And she lived at a time where segregation was where it's at. I couldn't imagine that today because I didn't live through it. For the same thing as each generation has lived through their own versions of that stuff.
Yeah.
Kids today don't know what 9/11 is like because they weren't born there. They weren't old enough to recognize what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, we teach it. How do we teach it nowadays? We recognize 9/11 in schools. At your school specifically, they send out cookie baskets to police officers in town locally, to the police department. Do they do any kind of program or any kind of service? No. Do they do any kind of memorandum? They used to show a video, which was all of like maybe 3 minutes with a song. You know, I forget what song it is, but they play the song and show the video. But we don't talk about it. We don't explain this is what happened. We don't explain what you're seeing right here is real. Like, I saw this physically live on TV. You don't talk about people falling out the building and showing that because it's too sensitive.
Yeah.
And so for that, it doesn't desensitize it, but it doesn't make it seem real. It makes it seem like a movie.
Yeah.
And that's how they treat it. And so, like, for the generational stuff, I think every generation has their own thing. Like I said, my grandmother, I didn't appreciate a lot of the stuff that she went through.
Yeah.
I did as I got older, but I also respected her in that time to do that. Like, I wanted to get to know what she went through. So it wasn't like I was forced to. It's because I wanted to. And I think that as we get older, hopefully younger generations than us will do that. I think that right now, though, in its adolescence, it is what it is. You're in your own little world.
Yeah.
What's important to you is what's in front of you. It's not you're not there for the humanity. You're there for me. So
yeah,
I don't think it's set to just one generation. I think it's set to each generational difference. It's a cycle. We keep on going through it. So
what I think is interesting though about this generation, because you brought up a good point that like you didn't understand because they hadn't been through it. But like even the things that they go through, they just do not respond the way that I feel like they should, you know? Like I think COVID should be, because one of my students, they were talking about COVID one day, and COVID's a hard topic for me sometimes. I know it's a hard topic for Shu. It's just kind of like, because we both were affected by it. Michael, did you have a death because of COVID?
Not directly.
Well, both of my grandparents passed, and I know Shu's dad did. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it got very, very real. And one of my students was like joking about COVID and the fact that all these people died. And I was like, dude, like that's kind of crazy. Cause like you literally like went through it. And he was like, yeah, well, like it didn't affect me. So like, I don't really care. So it's kind of like, even though they go through these events, if it's not straight up like right there, because I thought something that was really, really interesting was whenever Trump got the assassination attempt, I was in the car and Daniel like called me and was like, hey, like Trump just almost got shot in the head. And I was like, that's crazy. Like what? But like, I know that there's a bunch of generations that like, whenever past presidents were almost assassinated, they like all sat down by the TV and were like, oh my gosh. Or like whenever they did get assassinated, it was like a big deal. And I was talking to the kids in my debate class and I was like, y'all have kind of lived through 3 like major world things that have gone down in history that are going to be in like your history books. And they're like, what? And I was like, COVID, assassination attempt.
Well, I think what it is, though, is that, you know, like, so an assassination attempt on us, like for our generation, we weren't the first. Do you know what I mean? Think about this. We weren't the first that went through the assassination attempt. That affected my mom's generation, your mom's generation, because that was Kennedy. That was really the big, you know, space disasters. Our generation, because the Challenger exploded in 86.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. But when Columbia exploded, you know what I mean? Like kids responded the same way. Oh, well, it's already happened before.
Yeah.
So I think they have to be the first ones. Like shootings in school, we were affected by that because we were really the first generation to go through that. When it doesn't seem so commonplace, 9/11, that was really the first time a terrorist attack happened on our home soil.
Yeah.
By the means of airplanes being used as target or being used as weapons, you know? And so I think if they experience it as the first, that becomes one of those events that they remember.
Right.
That is triggered in their head. You know, I think every generation has, if not one, more than one of those kinds of events. It's like one of those, where were you when moments, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think they've had that yet. COVID, yes. But again, like you said, it didn't affect me much.
Yeah.
COVID was for old people and for, you know what I mean? Like it didn't really affect me all that much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that really kind of shocked either. You know, it wasn't something that happened really fast and really kind of shocked everybody. Yeah. It was a slow build up that kind of grew. Yeah. And so I think once they experience something like that, that'll become their where was I moment.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. I really think, and this goes back to one of the big differences, I think a lot of that has to do with kind of a lack of empathy that, again, I blame on social media, because I think, you know, social media has, you know, like we said, it's desensitized young people, especially, so much, because there are many things that I'll see on social media and I'm like, I don't want to watch that. Like but the kids will just watch it without a second thought. Like I remember seeing this video and I was really upset because it wasn't marked as like disturbing or anything, but it was a video of like these people killing all these pigs in a pit by setting them on fire. And I was just utterly disturbed. And I was like, what is this? And then I like scrolled off of it really quick because I was like, I don't want to watch that. But the kids would sit there and watch it in morbid fascination, I think, most of them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just sort of killing their sense of empathy, social media is. And so
that's because if you think about it, they're exposed to it more often than we were as kids.
Yeah.
We didn't have exposure. I didn't watch a video of, you know, a pig getting killed or a dog getting run over or thrown off a building. I mean, I've seen some stuff on video.
Yeah.
You know, in the early 2000s, they were showing the videos of the soldiers being beheaded. Like, and you could find those videos easily on the internet.
I never watched
before we even like went into where they take them off now. Like it's not even posted anymore at this point. But you could easily find it, you know? And so I think that they're exposed to it a lot longer. So it's not something, it's just kind of every day.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. So is social media making us smarter or worse as a society?
Ooh, definitely worse. We got to find a way to end this on a high note. We're all in the doldrums right now talking. We can't end on beheadings. Keep it light, keep it light, keep it light.
We'll get it light. But these are all generational things. Like, the sad thing is that a lot of the generation gaps that's going on right now are not positive. There are some positive stuff. Like, AI can be positive. I think social media can be positive. But it's honestly just kind of like, it's creating these fake worlds that don't exist. Like, people can just post and look a certain way, and then a poor student in high school is trying so hard to look that way, and it's not real. Or like encouraging these diets that don't work, or encouraging cyberbullying and encouraging kids to like say whatever they want to somebody and nothing's going to happen, or encouraging them to like feel like they have to fake a life. And honestly, some of it is encouraging students that they don't have to go to school because they can be a billionaire off of YouTube. So
yeah,
I feel like it's definitely not helping. I feel like it can be helpful. I think that it helps people stay in touch. Like, I've lost contact with a lot of people I went to high school with, a lot of people I grew up with, but thanks to social media, I get to like keep in touch. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that some people have ways to get money. Like, if they want to start a GoFundMe, they have social media to like reach out. Like, maybe they need a funeral paid for or a surgery paid for and they need help. I think that's awesome. But I think a lot of social media is used for some bad stuff that's not doing anything but hurting and stealing joy from our students and us.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything else. It's a double-edged sword. It's going to come with its positives, but it's also going to come with its negatives. And so, to close out our generational discussion, it's like Michael said earlier, every generation is going to have these major differences because you have to take everything in terms of its context. We grew up in a different environment than our parents did, and different still than the environment that Kenzie grew up in. Mm-hmm. And so that's always going to cause differences among the generations. But I think what we have to do is learn to embrace the differences, for the things that are genuine problems, find solutions and enact them so that we can continue to thrive and continue to carry on as a society. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I think we will get better. Each generation adds its own to society and own to humanity, and I think that each generation below ours needs to find their way. And they will.
Yeah.
They will.
And I think that's for us in the older population.
Well, no,
let's say.
That's why we're educators.
Yeah.
Because we feel that we want to help mold and guide them to the betterment of society and betterment of humanity.
Yeah. And that's something that I think too, we have to, for people who aren't educators, you have to just sort of have faith in the generation that comes after you. Mm-hmm. And just trust that just like we didn't screw it up beyond all recognition, they're not going to either.
Kenzie, we trust your generation.
You should
Don't mess it up.
No, I'm just joking. There's a lot of good things with Gen Z. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of disconnect that needs to be connected, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kenzie, we always end every episode with a round of trivia. So how about tonight we do some Gen Z trivia and see what you can stump us on?
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to know anything. Okay.
Well, we won't either, I promise.
Yeah, we won't either. Okay. I'm going to ask you 5 questions first because I've found one that is, I think, going to be good for you. This one is, how well do you know Gen Z slang?
Oh, dear God.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So, and these are just words or phrases. So, all right. The first one is tweaking.
Oh, gosh. I literally have no clue. Tweaking is like, they're tweaking. Like, like they're like spazzing out, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So it says overreacting. The next one is you got jokes.
You got jokes mean, haha, you think you're funny, but you're actually not.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. A sarcastic comment. Mm-hmm. How about you heard?
You heard?
Yeah.
Means like, you heard?
Does it mean like, do you know?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael said it. Do you know?
Do you know? You heard?
All right. All right. The next one is wig snatched.
What?
If you are wig snatched, what does that mean?
Wig snatched?
Uh-huh.
I don't think these
like
are real.
You've been revealed? I've never heard of that.
It says a term for an impressive or unimpressive act or appearance. So I guess like,
I don't know who came up with that. I've never heard of that.
I've never heard anyone say that in my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I've heard of the other ones, but I've never heard of that one.
Okay. Well, that's why I put that one, or that's why I asked that one, because that was one I haven't heard either. And I didn't know if I was just out of the loop.
So people go around talking about you wig snatched?
No, nobody says that.
Apparently.
But they will tomorrow. I guarantee you. That's in my new vocabulary.
Yeah.
Oh God! Guess what's on here too?
Nobody.
Guess what else is on here?
What?
Valid.
Valid. That means valid reasoning. I agree.
Okay, and of course, the one that I have to end with, slay.
Slay means period. You do you, boo. Love it. Leave it. Cover girl. Easy breezy. Beautiful. Slay.
Oh Lord. Okay, give us yours.
Y'all need to name your first kid Slay.
Slay.
Slay Burns. Oh my God, that would be a little gay boy right there. Slay Burns.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Daniel.
Don't choke.
That was funny. That was funny. You want me to do mine?
Yeah.
This is like actual questions.
Okay.
What is the most popular music streaming service among Gen Z?
Spotify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Oh, my stars. Who is the youngest self-made billionaire?
Mark Zuckerberg.
No.
Is it the youngest self-made billionaire?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, don't tell me it's that Mr. Beast guy, is it?
No, but love Mr. Beast.
Who is it?
It is Kylie Jenner.
What?
Oh my
Shut up.
gosh.
With the Kylie Jenner lip kit. Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it.
It is, I swear.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is a game that I played whenever I was younger. It was incredible. Which popular video game series features virtual pets and life simulation?
Oh, Pokemon Go.
No. It was like
Close.
you lived in it was like a living room and you could have like dogs and cats and you took care of them.
Oh, I think I don't know the name of it, but I think I've seen like pictures of it or so. What is it?
Nintendogs.
Oh no, I vaguely remember
I've
hearing
never
about
heard
it.
of that.
It was on my
That's
Nintendo DS and I played it every day.
It was dumb.
It was not dumb. It was incredible.
It was crazy.
Daniel, you are not on this podcast.
Well, I've heard my name a couple times, so I think I am.
Daniel, stop. Let me see. I'm trying to pick things that you may actually know. Because some of this is like, what? This isn't even a Gen Z thing. I guess it shows that like some things just stay good.
What's that?
What is the top video game franchise?
Mario.
Yeah, it's Super Mario Bros.
Oh yay!
Yay.
Still going strong.
Yeah, that's why I was like, well, I guess this is like a thing. Here. Which mobile app allows users to create and share digital stickers?
Bitmoji?
Yes.
Oh yay!
I think that's 5. Was that 5?
I think so.
Yay.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of From Art to Atoms.
The Ultimate Curiosity Show.
Thank you so much to Mikenzie Burns for joining us this week. We will definitely have you back again in the future. And thanks so much for listening, everybody. We hope you have a great week. See you next week.
Have a good one.
Slay the day
Bye.
away.
Yes, slay the day away. You've been listening to From Art to Atoms, the Ultimate Curiosity Show, episode number 19. Your hosts are Brandon Shoemaker and myself, Michael Folse. The show is produced by Brandon Shoemaker and is available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on all of our latest episodes and news. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggested topics you'd like for us to dive into, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email us at FromArtToAtoms@gmail.com. We would love to hear from our listeners, and we value your input. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at From Art to Atoms. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platforms. Your support helps us reach even more interested minds like yours. Thanks for tuning in, and stay curious, everyone.